Brian Wilson alongside Larry O'Connor.
Joining us right now, D.C. Councilmember Muriel Bowser. Of course, she's a candidate for mayor. She's a Democratic nominee for mayor, in fact, and always a warm guest for us here. I'm warm. I don't know what that means, but a warm welcome to you, Muriel Bowser.
Brian and Larry, how are you? Good morning.
We're well, thank you. Listen, we are absolutely so frustrated, as many many citizens of the District of Columbia are. I'm sure you're frustrated at this point over the problems at the fire department. And we had another one, a 90-year-old woman. Ambulance couldn't arrive. It took 45 minutes. Finally, she was put into a fire truck and taken to Prince George's County Hospital. You have some level of responsibility here. You can make a difference. Can you just say on the record right now that day one, when you're mayor, if Chief Ellerby is still the fire chief, you will fire him?
Yes. And I think, actually, we've been saying for many months now that we have to have a change in leadership at the fire department. I think that there has been such a lack of confidence now from the people of the District of Columbia. In 7 years representing D.C. residents on the council, I haven't seen this lack of confidence. And I actually think that Mayor Gray, in his last 6 months, has to really make sure that changes are happening at the fire department, because D.C. residents are imperiled.
I hear what you're saying, and that you would change it if you had the power to do it. But you are currently a council member. What pressure can you bring to bear on the mayor to make a change before the end of the year? I mean, we got 6 months or 6 or 7 months to go here.
I think you're exactly right. And what I intend to do is make sure, and I have the facts of what happened just most recently, and add it to the other issues where D.C. residents really don't want to call 911, and they should have confidence when they call 911 that they're going to get competent, professional, and fast service in their times of emergency. So the mayor does owe it to us for these remaining days.
Yeah, but let me stop you.
He has a plan in place to get it moving.
Let me stop you. What can you do? What kind of pressure can you bring to bear? What steps are you willing to take with the office that you have, that of being a council member in the District of Columbia?
Well, I'm willing to deal with who needs to change it, and that's the mayor of the District of Columbia. So for the last 2 months, we are in a transition period, a lame duck, if you will, status that I think has made things kind of difficult for the people of the District of Columbia. And it could if their leadership, the members of the council, the chairman of the council, and the current mayor don't work together to make some changes. So I'm going to call on the mayor to give us a quick and thorough review of this incident, as we've had with the other incidents. So we know where the leadership breakdowns were, the staff breakdowns were, and that any people who dropped the ball are going to be held accountable.
Our guest is Councilmember Muriel Bowser. She's, of course, a Democratic candidate for mayor, and I think we've had you on since the first week you announced your candidacy for the nomination.
For the invitation.
And you often talk about the things that you want to fix in Washington, and we love that energy. There's the thing. There's some things that are working in this town. You know, this is the healthiest city in America right now. Part of it is because people like to go to the health club and to the gym and to yoga and work out.
And go bowling.
And get on our bike lanes and go to our wonderful recreation centers.
And also,
don't get me started on the bike.
Also, this is a great restaurant town. I mean, this is one of the top restaurant towns. People love going out and eating. The restaurant business is doing great, and one of the nice things is when the weather's nice, they can sit on the sidewalks outside a restaurant and eat in an outdoor cafe. Why in God's name is the council now considering taxing those two things? It ain't broke. Let's not fix it.
Well, I think actually we reversed the mayor's proposal to increase the fees for outdoor cafes. I think that's one thing that we were able certainly to reverse.
Oh, all right. Thank you for that. What about the gyms? What about the health clubs?
The second thing that you mentioned, and you didn't mention the tax cuts that are included in this, which I'm sure that you would think are very good ideas.
I've never seen a tax cut I don't like.
Yeah, well, we're lowering the business tax, so D.C. finally, over the next several years, is going to be comparable to Maryland. Maybe one day we'll get to where Virginia is. We're creating a middle-class income tax bracket. We're increasing the EITC, so more people, more businesses, and more Washingtonians will keep more of their own money to spend on the things that they need feed, housing, transportation, and spending money at those restaurants and new retailers that we've been able to attract. Now, Tony Williams was our former mayor, was in charge of a tax review commission that we created. It met for over 18 months, and it had a whole package of tax relief. And Phil Mendelson came up with a package that had the best of Tony Williams's proposals, and it left out really the most onerous that would have created a head tax for employees. The one thing it does include that I have, voted against all the days that I've been on the council is expanding the health tax category. I mean, the sales tax categories to include some things that we're not accustomed to paying sales tax on. So to get the tax relief that I think is so important, including having our estate taxes comparable to the federal government, those things we chose to expand our sales tax categories. Now, in the next couple of weeks, if there's any way to relieve that burden, looking at our whole budget, I'm going to seek ways to do that.
All right. So, and this be clear. You're talking about cutting taxes in some areas and raising them in others.
Only one area. And that is not exactly raised, just to be clear, and I don't want to, push this point.
Well, you're going to be
much.
charging people a tax where they are currently not charged a tax.
That's correct.
All right, so for the people who go to health clubs, they're going to see a raise in the cost because you're increasing the taxes.
What the council just voted on, that would be the case. And I think that when you see all of the members of the council, I think except two who didn't object to this point, vote for a very substantial reduction in taxes for the city. You know that there were a lot of tough decisions made.
Yeah.
But when you talk about this type of relief for people all over the city, in the middle class, people for estate taxes, and all of our businesses, I think that you're going to see is a substantial benefit for people.
I got one more question that I just want to ask you as our time.
I just got to make this point.
Okay.
And that's that the effective tax rate for our taxpayers is going to go down almost a half of 1%.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
The other question I have is Michael Brown, former council member, just got sentenced to 39 months in prison for taking bribes. He says that he wished he had been able to resist the culture of corruption in D.C. government. And so my question is, you're inside the D.C. government. You see how things work. Is there still that culture of corruption?
There is a culture of corruption for people who cheat and accept bribes. And I think what we've been able to do, and I wouldn't paint the 30,000 people that work for us or the many dedicated public officials with that broad brush. And we've changed the law to catch cheaters and people who will take bribes. And we have installed an independent board of ethics and government accountability.
Is there still work to be done?
I think there's probably always work to be done. Now, we have, like I said, changed the enforcement regime. We've given it more teeth and enforcement power. We've encouraged our employees to get independent ethics advice. And the voters of the District of Columbia have demonstrated with their votes that they're not going to tolerate elected officials who aren't for good, clean, and ethical government.
Muriel Bowser, we got to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, have a good weekend. And we just want to let you know we did ask the independent candidate, Catania, to join us. We've been looking to hook up with him. He hasn't joined us yet, but hopefully we will have him at some point soon.
Well, you'll always have me. Just give me a call.
Oh, even after you're elected?
Didn't I promise you I'd be here after the primary?
All right.
Didn't I?
You did. All right.
All right. Okay.
Councilperson Bowser, thank you so much. We greatly